Thank you for staying with us. So let's begin with an issue that affects everyone. New provisions in the Electoral Acts signed by President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday necessitated some changes in plans of the 2023 elections. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, announced that the presidential and the National Assembly elections earlier slated for February 18, 2023 have been shifted to February 25th, 2023, while the governorship and state houses of assembly elections will now hold from March 4 to 8th, 2023. Let's hear from INEC chairman.
Presidential and National Assembly elections will now hold on Saturday, 25th February 2023, while the governorship and state houses of assembly elections will hold 2 weeks later on Saturday, 11th March 2023. With this adjustment, the 2023 general election is now 363 days away. Under the law, there are critical time-bound activities from the publication of the notice of election to the conduct of polls, which form the timetable and schedule of activities for the elections. Some of the critical activities and their dates of implementation are as follows. Number 1, publication of notice of election, Monday, 28th January 2022. Conduct of party primaries, including the resolution of disputes arising from them, Monday, 4th April 2022 to Friday, 3rd June 2022. 3. Submission of nomination forms to INEC via the INEC portal for Presidential and National Assembly election, 9 a.m. on Friday, 10th June 2022 to 6 p.m. on Friday, 17th June 2022. 4. Submission of nomination forms via INEC online portal for governorship and state assembly elections, 9 a.m. on Friday, 1st July 2022 to 6 p.m. on Friday, 15th July 2022. 5. Commencement of campaign by political parties for presidential and National Assembly elections, Wednesday, 28th September 2022. 6. Commencement of campaign by political parties for governorship and state assembly elections, Wednesday, 12th October 2022. 7. Last day of campaign by political parties for presidential and National Assembly elections, midnight on Thursday, 23rd February 2023.
Today, March 11, 2023. The day is upon us. That is upon us now. And then looking at
for the governorship
election, and looking at this revised timetable, when you look at it by the 2nd of July, all primaries from April to July are meant to take place. So expectedly, we're meant to have candidates by July across all political parties.
Yes, and I like a lot of the clauses inserted into the legal framework for our elections now. The INEC chairman didn't just move the date. It was in keeping with the stipulation in the Electoral Act that there has to be a 360-day notice. 360-day notice of election.
Before
you must give 360-day notice.
So that's why they have
for
to
the general election.
Okay.
Yes, as we were dilly-dallying
about
signing the thing, the time left was shrinking. The time left was shrinking, and INEC was conscious of the law. That look, once this Electoral Act takes effect, you must ensure that whatever you are doing is within what is stipulated in the law. So now they have 363 days notice, given the adjustment that they've done. There's 363 days notice. Nobody can come out now and say, look, I'm taking INEC to court because INEC breached the law.
Electoral Act.
By not giving us up to 360 day notice. So they now have 363 days notice. And that is conforming with the stipulation in the electoral law. That you must be 360 days notice. And it's the same thing even with the matter of primaries. Now we know that parties will have enough time within which they can choose
from 4th of April
yes,
to 3rd of June.
Yes, within which they can decide who will be their standard bearers, and then if you have to go to court, you have enough time. It's the same thing.
From that 3rd of June down to the time of election.
The following year. You have that's the following year. That's enough time. So the sort of thing that happened to David Lyon would most likely not happen again, because you have enough time to address all litigations and all that. And in any case, all of these cases themselves, you know, there is time ceiling for them. So at least within the time ceiling,
180 days and beautiful.
Yes. So this issue, so I'm happy. Again, under the law, INEC must be provided these funds for the election 1 whole year before the election takes place. That's part of what is in the.
Can we achieve that?
Yeah, in that. No, of course. Why? If they do not provide the funds, INEC will not be able to prepare sufficiently. So they are trying to address this issue of, today at the last minute we've discovered that we are not ready, then we are moving the election. No, you have enough time to prepare for the election. That the funding must be released on time. The law says you must release 1 whole year. So we are getting there gradually in terms of some of the legislations that have come with this electoral, with the new electoral law. So hopefully the issue will now be, how do we get politicians to behave themselves?
Sir, now we can start seeing politicians coming out. I don't know, for those people still serving as still serving ministers, serving commissioners, that they are aspiring to be president and governors, what will be their fate now? Since we have a timetable, will you mean they have to resign before that April to start campaign to get involved in the...
That's an interesting question. The law is the law. Unless there's an amendment, we all have to abide by the law. And the law says if you are a political appointee, you would have to resign if you are interested in going for an elected position. And that is why the president, in signing the bill into law, asked for some amendments, especially as it relates to clause 84, which talks about the need for political appointees to resign their positions ahead of the elections. So we really don't have a choice until the law is amended. That is what it is. I don't see how politicians who are keen running for political positions are going to work around it. So I think the law provides a clear roadmap, for every stakeholder, in the Nigerian project, to play his part. Sadly, that is what it is at the moment. I would want to believe that the lawmakers, advise themselves properly right all the way to putting the law together.
This sudden, as in everything is going to be happening fast now.
Yeah, of course. The president made a promise and said, look, if these basic things are done in terms of what I want taken out, from the proposed law, that he was going to act. So, and the law gave him 30 days within which to act, and he did act within 30 days. So I don't think that what happened should have come to any of us, as a surprise. But the interesting thing, even after all the long wait, is that the law is there with us. We have to abide by it. We don't know how long it's going to take the lawmakers to effect any amendment. That is, if they are convinced that an amendment should be effected on the Electoral Act of 2022. I don't see anything happening very quickly, because of course there are going to be lobbies going on all over the place. So even though Mr. President has asked for an amendment, it might not come that easy, especially if some radical members within the House feel that they are sufficiently convinced about what they did in terms of putting the law together.
Julie, for parties like the All Progressive Congress, this might be very difficult. This timetable might be very, very, difficult to maneuver, because so what this is saying now is that they must stick to their March 26th date of convention without shifting, because after that convention, they're expected to come back for their presidential primary. So that is between now and June.
They don't have a choice. Laws are meant to be obeyed. I know that they are trying their best to arrive at consensus candidates which will make things easy. In their own view, will make things easy at the convention, because if we throw everything open and people have to contest, you could have a rancorous convention. They are trying their best to avoid that, and that's why they are going to go for consensus, having seen how the consensus arrangement worked with the PDP. PDP had seamless convention and everybody went home, but PDP had enough time, set up a zoning committee led by the governor of Enugu State. They went round, set up a committee led by Governor Fintiri, who went around, hammering out deals with people who had issues to settle with the party. And at the end of the day, they had a convention that was largely very peaceful, and just one or two.
They had elective position, maybe deputy national chairman.
Yes, those ones. And it was also because it was difficult to achieve unanimity at that level. Now say, okay, let these ones contest. So that's what the APC leaders would want to do, because they really don't have a choice. They've run out of time, and time is of essence. There is a law in place. The president will always have his way with this generation of lawmakers. So I'm sure that having signed, there are so many positive things, so many revolutionary ideas that are in place in that electoral law.
Yes.
To make them imagine that, well, even if the president asks for this, let us just go ahead. A lot of people are excited already, because they know that at least we have electronic transmission of results. That is there. We now know that the electronic accreditation of voters is also backed by law. So there are positives here and there, and because there are those positives, I want to believe that people like, that the National Assembly members would not want to delay. They will simply make those adjustments that concern largely the president's appointees, the Attorney General and the rest of them. He did tell us that he would tell the president not to sign, and that's what we have seen. Now the president signed with conditions that they will remove that. And
the National Assembly members don't have any choice.
I'm sure that they will go ahead and do that, yes. At least we have other positive things that we can be happy about.
Okay.